All right. All right, so hi everybody. Thank you for joining us today for the Rivet MRO Co-op by the Numbers webinar here. We're going to get started in just a minute, but just before we do, just a few things to note. So your microphones are muted. They will be throughout the presentation, but we do encourage you to ask any questions that you have. So those Q&A buttons at the bottom of the screen, if you hover your mouse over it, you should see a little bubble that says Q&A, and those will allow for you to enter in any questions that you have, and we'll address those at the end. So without further ado, Brian Carroll, if you want to go ahead and take it from here.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Ashley, and good morning, everyone. And I'm really excited this morning to introduce a real friend of AD, and that's Tim Rasmussen and the company that he founded, and that's Rivet MRO. Probably got to know Tim about 5 or 6 years ago when he was the director of marketing at ITW Programs. And, while he was in that position, one of the things that he, learned was the fact that there was often, 6 figures of co-op that would go underutilized or unused by many independent distributors and members of AD. And so, recognizing that that was occurring, Tim started his own company, Rivet MRO, and the whole purpose and mission behind Rivet MRO is to help the independent utilize those co-op funds more effectively and maximize sales as well as your ROI on the investment there. And so about 3 years ago, AD undertook an initiative regarding co-op where member leadership thought there was a role for AD in co-op, and one of the elements of that initiative was assisting the members in being more effective in the use of co-op and having a resource available to them. So we kind of married up with Tim at that time, and we had about a year vetting process where he worked with about 14 different members on various co-op initiatives. At the end of the year, we got the feedback from those members, and they highly endorsed that we add Tim and Rivet MRO as a service provider to AD. And then every year since then, we've continued to see Rivet MRO gain traction, and we hear more and more success stories from the members. And it's been a great relationship so far. And again, very excited to have Tim here. And we also have, as part of the panelists, some of your peers, other AD members that have utilized Tim and his services that can provide testimonials on how well and how successful Tim's organization has been in helping AD members, again, to more effectively use that co-op and ultimately try to increase sales. So it's my pleasure to introduce, again, very good friend of AD, Tim Rasmussen.
Wow, thank you for that kind introduction. And thank you all panelists and attendees alike for making the time for this webinar. Hopefully you'll walk away with a better understanding of how you can leverage co-op dollars to grow your business. So we're going to jump in. We have some background information to share, and then we'll tell some stories about the members and one of the suppliers here that in terms of the impact the co-op has had on their business and how it's been used. And we'll open it up for questions, and we should have room for questions, 15, 20 minutes worth of questions at the end. So joining us today on the panel, Brian did some of the introductions, but we have Tiffany, Randall, who's Vice President with Industrial Mill and Maintenance Supply in Texarkana. Eric Wessinger, who's the CEO and President of Richard Supply in Fort Worth, Texas. Michael West is the Purchasing Manager with Engman-Taylor in Menomonee Falls, Wisconsin. And Kristen Foth is the Marketing Communication Manager at ITW Pro Brands. So we have 3 distributors and 1 supplier, each with a unique view of co-op in the marketplace, and I'm excited to get their insights today. So a little bit of a commercial about who Rivet MRO is. We are a marketing service provider that exclusively serves independent distributors with a focus on the industrial space. Of our 30 plus client relationships, I would say all but 2 are AD members. So, AD is really our focus. And we're excited to be on this journey with you and appreciate the support that AD has given us over the years. When I was on the manufacturer's side, I was a huge fan of AD and what it did for its members. And my opinion of the organization has only increased, or my positive opinion has only increased during that time. So what we'll do is a little bit of an overview of who we are, and then really dive into the issue at hand, co-op. So we'll explore how much money you might be leaving on the table, and we'll go through some calculations that might allow you to have some estimate as to how much co-op money you should be claiming, and talk about our co-optimizer program, give you some examples of some projects, and talk about how to maximize the value that you have with co-op funds. So like I said, we are a marketing services firm exclusively focused on the independent distributor. We offer things besides co-op, so it can be branding and positioning strategies, market segmentation analysis, acquisition modeling, lifetime customer value calculation, so a lot of planning and strategic services, and then creative services like brochures and catalogs and videos, many of those things which are funded by our co-optimizer program.
Rivet MRO is your full-service marketing resource organization with industrial strength experience helping independent distributors like you gain exceptional insight and make more intelligent business decisions by providing all the strategic services and marketing solutions you need to secure your place in the market. You probably know us for our breakthrough Co-Optimizer Co-op Maximizer program, which focuses exclusively on helping independent distributors find and maximize co-op marketing funds. And it's risk-free. We don't bill you or begin work on your project until your co-op funds are approved. It literally costs you nothing. But we also serve as a comprehensive marketing resource that every independent industrial, electrical, and construction distributor needs. We provide everything from research and analytics to strategy and social media management. We also specialize in website development, animated videos like this one, and even promotional products. We cover you from start to finish, finding the funds you need and putting them to work to grow your business. Plus, we offer marketing data analysis to understand where those funds will have the best impact and creative resources to turn that analysis into actions that drive results. Nobody else has our mix of experience and expertise, and nobody else is better prepared to help you secure your place. Contact us today to get started.
That gives you a decent overview of who we are and where our focus is. So our focus today is really on helping distributors find and claim more co-op funds and then use them strategically to grow their businesses. So through our co-optimizer program, we do all the work where we help you find the source of the co-op funds, whatever rules there are around those co-op funds, and the paperwork, and even the execution in terms of the development of the creative deliverable for you using all those co-op funds. And ultimately, it's finding marketing funds for you to use, and it's a pass-through. It's really literally no cost to the distributor. What we do is we find co-op funds for the distributor to use to grow their business, and it's funded by suppliers. So our client list is almost entirely 80 members. You see some of them on the screen here. And our client revenues range from 4 million to in excess of 175 million. And we're managing dozens of projects simultaneously, and our business has been built through referrals and through AD networks. And so the point is that we're focused on businesses just like yours. We are, as Brian said, members of AD. We're service providers, and we're also members of the Industrial Supply Association and STATA, so we are committed to the channel. So a little bit of background about co-op. It's amazing how much co-op money is left on the table, how much co-op money is out there that people don't even know about. So according to the local search association, they believe that there are more than $70 billion in co-op funds made available every year by U.S. manufacturers. That's just U.S. manufacturers. And of that, roughly half, or up to half, they believe, is unclaimed on an annual basis. And I would submit to you that those percentages in terms of unclaimed funds are higher among AD members and their peers. There are exceptions to that, and we're working on that client by client. But many distributors don't claim co-op funds or don't claim many. And this number here, almost half of businesses that qualify funds fail to take advantage of them. So there's all kinds of dollars out there. Now, this is all manufacturing. It's not just the MRO space or the safety space, but it is indicative of the challenge that smaller organizations have. So with that, what I'd like everyone to do is to think how much co-op money did you claim in 2020? Just get a number in your head, and what percentage of the available co-op funds do you think you claimed. So we were going to do a poll, but that didn't work out with Zoom. But it's nice to have a number in mind in terms of what percentage of the available co-op funds you think you found. So what I want to do then is open a file that allows you to kind of figure out how much co-op money that you're claiming. So we have a calculator. There's a version of this on our website. We also have a spreadsheet here. But let's just use an easy number, $10 million. So most of you can extrapolate your distributorship's annual revenue based off of $10 million. And let's assume that 80% of that is with branded suppliers. So it wouldn't count, some non-branded fasteners or shipping or other costs like that. About 80% of that business is with branded products. And let's assume that 75% of your sales are with manufacturers where you have a large relationship defined as a purchase volume in the door of around $50,000. So with that, you can see here for a $10 million distributor, assuming these numbers hold true, is going to have available to them somewhere over $23,000 a year. It could be as much as $46,000. We've done this calculation numerous times and we've never failed to put it between the goalposts. Admittedly, they're wide goalposts because it's going to depend upon your supplier makeup and what percentage of your suppliers offer co-op funds. But for every $10 million in value, you should be able to claim somewhere around $23,000 or perhaps more. So the question, and I would love to see expressions, how much money are you leaving on the table? And there's quite an opportunity. It doesn't mean you're going to claim it all, but that's how much is out there. So there are a lot of reasons why these funds go unclaimed. Oftentimes the distributor is unaware of the opportunity. I'm going to ask the members to chime in here. You can all read, but if you could give us some examples, some of these are other reasons why you didn't claim co-op funds. And actually, let's just go across the board. Tiffany, what percentage of co-op funds, or how much do you think you claimed before you started really focusing on co-op?
Once we brought in Rivet MRO, we were able to increase that from about 40 to 50% higher than what we've done the years prior.
And do any of these reasons for why co-op funds really resonate with you?
Every one of them. Yeah, every one of them, sure.
How about you, Michael?
Yeah, for us, I would say we were claiming little to none. And for all the reasons that you list there, time, not knowing about it. Yeah, everything that you've got going right there is exactly why we never claimed.
Yeah.
Eric, is your experience?
Yeah, the only time we really took advantage of co-op was when a manufacturer would reach out to us and tell us we had to use it or we were going to lose it. And then we would end up mostly just getting manufacturer branded product to hand out to customers. We were doing zero, co-branded or anything Richards related. So mostly it was just due to being unaware. It just wasn't a space that we played in very well.
Right. And my experience is it really comes down to a time and resource issue for independents. The average independent distributor is going to work on somewhere around a 23% gross margin, and the net margins are going to be between 2 and 3% for the average distributor when it's all said and done. And so most of you don't have big marketing teams. Many of you don't have marketing teams at all, or only have a partial a part-time person focused on that aspect of the business. So it's difficult to devote the time and resources to pursuing co-op funds when they don't exist internally. Wayne Gretzky said you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And so there's a lot of shots out there that AD members, your peers that are failing to take, and when you don't shoot, you can't score. So let's take a look at it. For a smaller distributor or a mid-sized distributor even, getting $30,000 in co-op funds is not an unreasonable amount of money to find. And it begs the question, what's the impact of $30,000 in co-op funds, and why should I make the time to pursue something like this? So we talked about this earlier. These are the numbers: 23% gross margin, 3% after-tax profit is about normal. I'm hoping that all of you are saying, wow, that's really low, but I suspect that you're not. And it begs the question, how much do you have to sell in order to make $30,000 to spend on marketing? And so that means, ultimately these are after-tax dollars that you're spending on marketing because they're a complete cost. You need to sell $1 million to earn $30,000 to spend on marketing. So it begs the question, how much time and effort, how many resources would you put behind a slam dunk $1 million sale? Because that's the kind of impact. You're bringing $30,000 that you're going to be able to spend to promote your business. So just a little something to consider as you consider, is it worth the time to pursue co-op funds? And so that's just the dollars in the door, to use to spend on marketing. But then it begs the question, how do those dollars impact my business? And I'm going to share a story that Eric has given me permission to share, where we're successful in doubling sales. So Eric, I'm going to let you talk about this promotion that we did.
Yeah, sure. This is one of our original promotions that we went in, and so Tim and his team had gone through and run through the process, and they identified the different manufacturers that we had funds available with. So we worked with Jet to come up with this promo. They had just introduced their air tool line, and we were partnering with them to go after some of that business. And so we put together this package here, where basically we were just incentivizing customers to at least give us a shot. We weren't even asking for orders at that point. We just wanted an opportunity to go in and look at business. So we introduced this program, and it kind of took off right away. And when the dust settled, we doubled our air tool business, not only with Jet, but a lot of conversions. We were able to work a lot of end user conversions and shelf conversion over to this line. And, and then it also helped not only just on the air tools for revenue standpoint, but also with all the consumables and the accessory items that go along with that, hose, fittings, oil, like that kind of stuff, also contributed a lot to the bottom line. So yeah, without a doubt, this was a good one for us.
Yeah, one of the things that we learned, part of the process that we go through is doing a strategic review before we start to develop any sort of marketing solutions for our clients. And in that process with Eric and with his team at Richards, one of the things we learned is that their team was really good at staying on top of quotes and converting and closing quotes into sales. So typically with a sales promotion, it's buy X, get Y. And this was a simple step to the sales promotion, was just quote an air tool and we'll give you this backpack. And so that was, and part of the reason for that is we found the budget was, I think the first year the budget was only $2,500. Right. So, not a small budget, but not a huge budget by any stretch of the imagination, but that's the kind of impact we can have even with a budget like that. This isn't to say that every program we do does this. I wish they did, but it is the kind of impact that it can in fact have. But we haven't done just sales promotions with Richards either. I'll play first the whiteboard video, and then let you talk about. I'm going to play a little bit of each instead of the whole thing, so you get a feel. And I'll let you talk about how you use these, Eric. So first, this one is a whiteboard video with Honeywell.
Meet Eric. Eric runs a manufacturing company in Texas. While inspecting his plant, Eric identified and corrected several safety hazards. Eric has a major concern. He's not trained in hazard assessments or risk reduction and could have easily overlooked multiple safety issues. Wouldn't it be better if a safety specialist performed an on-site safety assessment and provided Eric with advice and product recommendations to reduce safety risk?
So you get the feel there. And then here's one that we did with Simple Green. This is a graphics animation video versus a whiteboard video.
Richards Supply has been supplying industrial plant workers and cleaning professionals with high-quality products and superior value for over 80 years. Richards Supply is proud to carry Simple Green industrial cleaner and degreaser, a safer alternative to toxic cleaners, bleaches, and solvents. Simple Green can be used manually or in cleaning equipment to cut through tough dirt, grease, oil,
Meet Eric.
and all safe surfaces. Richard Supply.
There we go. Sorry about that. So Eric, talk about how and where you've used these videos.
Yeah, so the Honeywell video has been a great one because this, as we've kind of tried to transition a little bit from a safety perspective to not only selling PPE and product, but also offering trainings and audits and solutions. And so we have a full-time health and safety specialists on staff who can go out with our customers and perform all these, series of different trainings and audits and things. So this video really helped us introduce that program, and it's a really good tool for him to use when he's, kind of cold calling and prospecting new safety managers and potential customers to introduce that program and what it offers. And then, so that's been really good. We put both of these videos on our website. So that's drawings, that has some SEO qualities that bring traffic and additional eyeballs to our site. And then we've used them both, multiple times in our social media package as well. So it's able to use. So the Simple Green video has been more just kind of a promotional video, but the Honeywell one has really kind of helped us kind of change the way that customers view us, as opposed to just a company that sells them stuff. We can now, kind of come in and be more than that and be more of a partnership in a solutions provider.
I'm always struck at the versatility of the videos. It's not just something that you post on your website and forget about. Your sales team use them in the field. They can be part of email campaigns, social media. So they're evergreen and they're versatile. So they're a great investment. And then lastly, Eric, with you, we just launched this. It's the clickable safety catalog.
Yeah,
and,
this has been great.
So like videos, these are great boosts to SEO because they're posted on your website, and Google will they're chock full of keywords, but they're also perfect for social media and for sellers to put on their laptops. I'm going to open this up, Eric, and I'll let you kind of talk through it. I'll click around a little bit, but I'll let you talk through it in terms of how your sales team will plan on using this. And then talk about a little bit about the commingling of funds. Instead of it just being a PIP project, we've got multiple suppliers.
Well, that's the thing that I like about it the most is, so we took a couple of suppliers that, we've done some bigger projects with some of these suppliers, and then we actually had a little bit of leftover. So this was a really good way to mix, some of our larger partners that we have more spend with, that have higher co-op project or co-op available funds, but also with some of the suppliers that maybe the funds aren't really enough to do an individual program. Some of these other, like your Markall's and Seymour's is limited dollars, and we couldn't really do anything individually. So this allowed us to incorporate their products and stuff into a bigger package and something that we would get more bang for our buck with. So this has been really good, again, with our safety program, and then again, driving traffic to the website and social media. And then, so the salespeople are including this with our order confirmations and quotes. And then, I send out every morning, I send out thank you emails to a handful of customers, and so I started including this as part of that email. So it's been real good, and it's, real positive feedback, and everybody likes it. And again, it's kind of better than just handing out pens and notepads. This is something that's a little more unique and drives traffic to our website, which is one of the ultimate goals.
One of the cool features of this is especially in the age of COVID, this is a chance for you to get a catalog, which, typically has been a printed piece, and it's difficult to get in front of customers in some places now. So now you can simply email this to them. But it also then has interactive aspects to it. So you can click on a link and it will take the reader directly to your e-commerce page, to that particular product, so that they can actually buy it.
That's a huge benefit and part of it, and it's been driving a lot of traffic to the site. So far so good.
Yeah, and the other thing we can do is leverage manufacturer videos. If you click on a link, it'll take you to YouTube, where it'll allow the reader to learn more about that particular product. So we won't go through the video. You get the idea. And then you can see that we can click around by just simply clicking on the different logos of the suppliers. So we're excited about this, and we think it's a great way to commingle co-op funds and allow distributors to get bigger bang and have a more impressive project by taking advantage of some of the smaller co-op funds that they have available to them and putting them towards a larger project.
Yep.
Tiffany. Tiffany actually also had some success with Jet Air Tools in a very similar promotion. So one of the beauties of working exclusively with independent distributors is that we get to learn and understand what sorts of things work and try to do more things like that. So very similar experience. Can you add some color to this, Tiffany?
Yeah, this was one of the first promotions that we had done with y'all, and we leveraged the Jet Wilton, and we kind of took the same approach as free lantern flashlight with any quote. And with that, we were able to lift our sales by 18% within just a 3-month time frame. And it was super easy. Rivet MRO did all of it. I mean, essentially, we do not have an in-house marketing department or anyone who was in charge of our co-op. So we just kind of put it all in their hands, and they were really easy, professional to work with. And we were able to increase our sales on this promotion by 18%. Easy.
And then we've done a handful of other things. And last year you celebrated your 40th anniversary, and we got to use co-op funds to help you celebrate that and make your customers aware of it.
Yes, we did. And like the other, it was very easy. We wanted to do something special with it being our 40 year. So the same time we did our FMS, the next day we joined it in and we did something for our customers, really just to celebrate them, because they're the main reason we've been here for 40 years. So Rivet MRO did all the marketing material for us. We emailed these out, we passed them out. And every one of these products in here, I'm looking over it again, had our 40th logo that they designed for us. They kind of took a turn to our normal logo and created a 40-year logo for us. And we love the way it turned out. Everything looked and turned out really well.
Yeah, I'm continually amazed at the durability of the independent distributor. You're 40 years old, and you've got some peers that are substantially older than you as an organization. That's really fun. We have a couple clients that are over 100 years old. One is 125 years old. And I love the old pictures of, the original hardware store where the business, was built in the early 1900s. It's a fun legacy. And Michael, Engman-Taylor has used a lot of co-op dollars for promotional products. You're big fans of wearables and giveaways. Can you talk about some of these?
Yeah, our sales staff likes to do the handouts a lot, and we've had good success with the cubes there with the Dynabraid. Those turned out great. Those were a huge hit. Those went immediately. Everybody wanted them and kept asking for more of them. Everything here turned out great. The loops. We sell a lot of carbide inserts, so a lot of our customers like to be able to look at those inserts and see how they're wearing. So the loops, that was a great promotion. Yeah, it's just nice to have stuff to hand out, keep your name in front of people. But, now we're starting to go more towards the digital stuff. Since we've done some of the promotional handout things, we're trying to look at doing more of the digital marketing campaign stuff.
You even used the co-op funds for Christmas gifts for larger clients. This is a nice wine set in a
Yep.
walnut box.
Absolutely, yeah. And
so, as Michael was saying, Engman-Taylor is also doing a clickable catalog. This one is still under kind of putting the final touches on it, but while Richard Supply used the clickable catalog for a channel focus on safety, this is more of a broadline catalog.
Correct. Yeah, we're really excited to get this launched. Like I said, we're kind of putting the finishing touches on it now. We thought, last year with COVID, and a good majority of our accounts were not letting salespeople in unless there was a major problem that they need to get someone in. So we thought, this would be a good opportunity to get this project launched instead of doing more promotional products that our account managers typically like to hand out.
Yeah, so in this case, you can see all the suppliers that are on here. And if you were to click on any one of these logos, you could go to that suppliers page. But we also created a menu that was really driven by category. We created an iconography so you could click here and you go straight to cutting tools. And the same process applies, where you can click on this to see the video or click on this to go to the Engman-Taylor website and facilitate the purchase. And you can also click on that particular logo or icon and still navigate throughout the PDF. Great, thank you, Michael. And moving on, we have Kristen Foth from ITW, and ITW has been kind enough to ask us to work with several of their customers to help them leverage their co-op dollars more effectively. Can you tell us about this McCullough's project?
Sure. So this was obviously a program that was set up via the services of Rivet MRO for our customer McCullough's. And the real benefit from the supplier perspective in a program like this is that it does more than just, puts our logo on pens and paper, like we referenced earlier. This really builds a program, and there's value in it in that, this past year, the challenges of our direct sales team not being able to get in front of customers, this was just another program that was built out so that in turn, we are getting in front of people and they're seeing our products and our brands. So a really nice program.
So, the beautiful part about this is everything we do is really client driven and market driven. And COVID changed a lot of the ways we use co-op dollars in 2020. And, coming up with unique breakthrough ways to get in front of customers when you don't have the same access that you used to has really been an overriding theme of this. And this is one way to really do that and to create a real impact. So you can see here we had product samples and a brochure that detailed those product samples, and then a nice little racing hat and whole racing theme for that with a custom box. And speaking of COVID, here's one that was even more directly impacted or inspired by COVID.
Yeah, so this one really spoke directly to what our strategic intent was for the year. But being able to work again through Rivet and develop this program, it also allowed us to focus on the products that we knew that we could deliver, especially considering all the constraints we were facing with sourcing raw materials and all the other issues that surrounded manufacturing and continue to surround us. So this was a really nice platform, obviously very relevant messaging, and just helped us get that information out in a more timely and efficient manner.
Yeah, so what we did is we worked with ITW and with A&M. A&M Industrial is in Rahway, New Jersey, and wanted to educate around disinfecting and sanitizing, and then promote the appropriate ITW products. So here's the start of a graphics animation video.
Now more than ever, businesses are aware of the need for quality disinfecting and sanitizing in their facilities. A&M Industrial has you covered with a wide range of ITW Pro Brands products that help you get the job done right, including Spray 9, Scrubs, and Diamond Disinfectants and Scrubs hand sanitizing wipes. Disinfecting, sanitizing, and cleaning are not all equal. Disinfecting a surface can kill bacteria, viruses, and fungi. Sanitizing reduces and/or kills bacteria on a surface, but doesn't kill viruses. Cleaning products are as effective as soap and water in removing germs from hands and surfaces, but don't contain chemicals that will kill germs. There are 3 P's to properly disinfect. Product.
So we keep going, but you get the idea. And then we created a partner piece that was both a printed brochure and an interactive brochure, like the clickable catalogs that detailed those particular products and provided information on proper disinfecting and sanitizing. Kristen, I think you have a unique point of view for anybody on this call because you're on the supplier side. And give us a little bit of light on how you decide what sorts of projects that you want to support, which ones you don't want to support as a manufacturer.
Yeah, from a manufacturer standpoint, we do definitely have criteria that we like to be involved with before we really grant and allocate the co-op funding. So part of that platform really is just talking about, we're big on programs and want a consistent messaging that really aligns with our internal strategic intent, because that gives the focus of what we want and need to be promoting within that year time frame. And it really just, it works both ways, because there's benefit to us, obviously, in that, but then by multiplying the message through our distributor partners, it also just multiplies that awareness. So there's definitely criteria. And like I said, nothing against putting a logo on a golf ball by any means, but a program like this really does benefit both of us even more.
Absolutely. It's ultimately it's about being able to justify the expense on a continued basis. And how do we move the needle relative to sales at the distributor level? How do we empower the distributor salespeople do a better job of representing your brands to their customers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. And tell me this, how much easier is it for you to support a co-op request when somebody comes to you early in the year versus later in the year?
Much easier early in the year, for sure. As we all know, funding tends to get diverted in other directions as the year goes on. So earlier the better, without a doubt.
That's a huge theme. And we saw actually, Eric, I know when we started doing your co-op earlier in the year, we were able to effectively almost double the amount of money that we were able to find for Richard Supply.
Yeah, it's just cleaner. And we did a couple projects later in the year, but it also helps us with our kind of planning for the year and what, who we're going to promote and how we're going to run those promotions and when. So if we can have these programs and all the corresponding materials put together, the sooner the better. And it just makes it easier for everybody.
This is traditionally something it's kind of easy to kick the can on and say we can get to that later. And then all of a sudden you find yourself in November, December, and it's holy cow, I haven't claimed my co-op dollars with XYZ company. And then it's a mad scramble to try to figure something out. And so starting earlier, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted to, to have this webinar early in the year to reinforce the importance of starting the planning process early. So, throughout the webinar, we've been accepting questions. And again, if you have additional questions, that concludes the main part of our presentation. Hopefully this gave you better insights in terms of how to claim co-op and how to use co-op more effectively to grow your businesses. But let's make this a little bit more focused and focus on answering some of your questions.
Tim, we do have a couple questions through the chat. The first one is, there is a large amount of discretionary funds beyond formal programs. Can you speak on that and who needs to take ownership of that?
Well, that's a great question. So when we reach out, so the way our process works is we get a spreadsheet from our clients with their purchases from the previous year. And they'll shoot a note to their suppliers, basically say, hey, Rivet MRO is going to be reaching out to you and they're helping us with our marketing. And when we ask a supplier if they have a co-op program, there's one of three answers we get. And two of them are really easy answers. If we call Kristen, she says, yes, we have a program. And here's a copy of our rules. Here's how we calculate the funds. And here are the approved uses. And here's what the approval process looks like. The other answer that's really easy to understand is no. so we can check that box. But the most common answer we get is, well, we don't have a formal program, but we'll look at it on a one-off basis. And so we call those discretionary programs. And oftentimes that's really where our story resonates. And the reason that the supplier is telling you we have a discretionary program is because A, they don't really want to tell you no, and they don't really want to tell you yes. They're going to give you a few more hoops to jump through to make it more difficult. And by making it more difficult, hopefully you have a more thoughtful request and one that they're more interested in funding and can get excited about. And I think that's one of the places where our value proposition really shines, because we're able to connect those dots. And, to Kristen's point, we need to, these are distributor co-op funds, but if we can tie the use of those funds back to the manufacturer's strategic initiatives and to the distributor's strategic initiatives, we have a much higher likelihood of getting funding. Great question.
Okay, we have another question. It's somebody who joined a little late wants to know the approximate cost for your service.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we struggle with, because it seems like a marketing gimmick. It's free, and when I say it's free, we make money. We're not the Red Cross, but we find co-op dollars for you to spend with us. So we go to people like Kristen and say, hey, how much have you earned, or how much has our client earned with ITW? And we get a number, and then we put together a proposal that hopefully earns a yes from Kristen for the investment of those funds. So let's say that's a $5,000 project. We would bill our distributor client $5,000 and then facilitate the paperwork process for ITW or any other manufacturer that has co-op to reimburse the distributor with those funds. So it nets out literally at a zero cost for the distributor. Is that a good description, Tiffany, Mike, Eric?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't say that it's really cost us anything on any of the programs that we've done with you, that you've come up with, or we've come up with different ideas. Yeah, and you, like you say, you facilitate all the paperwork. Really, the only work on our end is just making sure that we actually get the check from the manufacturer or supplier.
Yeah, just that level of follow-up. So it costs you time.
Yeah, and very little, honestly. I mean, overwhelming majority you handle for us. You know, you come up with ideas. I know we're not always the easiest to work with coming up with ideas. Sometimes we'll say, well, we're not quite sure what we want to do, and you throw a lot of ideas out at us and come up with programs. And that sometimes triggers us to go down another path. Go, you know what, that's good, but how about we do this?
Great.
Okay, we have a couple more questions. How do you make sure you get all the co-op funds you've earned?
Yeah, so all is you know, that word is important. You're never going to get all of them, because sometimes you might have $50 with a supplier and it's just not worth pursuing that. So all is a relative number. Certainly, if you start the process early, you can get all of the defined programs like ITWs or like a Liftall or somebody like that that has a published program. So those are pretty easy to get. The harder ones to get are the discretionary programs. And we already touched on this. One of the ways to get all the funds or most of the funds is to start the process early. Manufacturers oftentimes drag their feet or just say no late in the year. The budget's already been spent, or we've closed the program when it's too late for requests. So for example, 3M Capital Safety has a decent program, but they force you to spend half of it before June. You can spend it all before June, but if you wait until after June to spend your dollars, you lose half of the funds. So manufacturers are always interested in starting the process early and being involved in the planning process, and you're going to have a much higher likelihood of being able to do that. Then the other thing is demonstrating that you're using the funds in a manner that the manufacturer sees value in time and time again, getting their buy-in, allowing them to have input, telling them what your strategic plan is and tying back to them will give you that ability to maximize your ability to claim funds.
Great. Okay. Another question. How do you use co-op marketing funds to grow your business?
I'm going to put that back out to the panel.
I guess I would say from our side, you know, once again, we do a lot of the promotional handout items. So if we're trying to grow business with a certain manufacturer and we do a program with them, whether it's paper, pen, hats, you know, some kind of promotional thing, our account managers will use that, you know, particularly at new customers, to get in there, leave something, kind of just gives them something with your name in front of them. And then the digital campaign that we're launching, you know, like I said, we have high expectations of that, to help grow with existing customers, not just new customers, but existing customers that might not necessarily handle certain items. So that's how we're using it.
We're a lot like Michael without an in-house marketing program. You know, a lot of our guys like having handouts if it's just something to leave other than a business card, with a lot of cold calls or existing customers. So being able to utilize your services for just marketing pieces in general, we do a lot of handouts as well, pens and notepads and things like that, but just being able to have an in-house marketing resource for us has just been a huge benefit in calling on new customers, growing new business, but also in our existing accounts that we have.
Okay, great. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. I don't have much to add other than that, so you saved me.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw, maybe you joined a little late, but we talked about you know, a couple of the sales promotions where we were able to increase sales by 18, even 50%. So there's another aspect of it as well beyond just the general aspect. There are specific instances where we can point to this and say, yes, we were able to grow the business because of co-op funds.
Okay, great. Now this is a question for the entire panel. What role do you see marketing playing in the evolving marketplace being influenced by COVID and e-com?
I'll start. You know, we've been able to utilize a couple of the programs that we've mentioned here today, but really when we can't get in front of a customer, it's having these, these videos or these clickable catalogs or something electronic that we can present, via email or Zoom or Microsoft Meetings or whatever platform we're using to communicate with our customers. Having something that's professionally done and looks really great and carries a consistent message across different platforms or different brands, or everything that we do has a Richards kind of theme to it. So having these resources available electronically has been a huge benefit over the last few months, and I'm assuming is going to go on the same way moving forward. So it helps us get in the door where with a particular customer or a new contact that's not seeing visitors.
One of the other things I want to tie back on is kind of one of the softer benefits of co-op and one of the softer aspects of getting maximum value for co-op, and it speaks to relationships. And I think, again, COVID has had a lot of side impacts, a lot of side effects. And I think one of them is really forcing a more thoughtful relationship between the supplier and the distributor. A more thoughtful planning process, and we have more time because we can't be in the field as much as we'd like to. So, one of the things we see is when distributors are asking for co-op funds and they're engaging with the supplier and entertaining the supplier's strategic considerations, it improves the relationship. One of the things we heard when we did our first large clickable catalog, one of the things that we heard, and this is actually with A&M, because I think manufacturers really want to see their brands represented online. They want to expand their digital footprint through their channel partners. And the digital catalog often creates an opportunity for the distributor to put more focus on that supplier online and to represent them in their e-commerce platform or through banner ads or what have you. And I think that there's a real win for your distributor salespeople, or sorry, for your manufacturer salespeople, to get that accomplished, and then go back and say, hey, look what I was able to get done at XYZ distributorship. So the relationship aspect is hard to quantify, but I think it has a tremendous impact on both approvals and on the usage of co-op funds. Is that kind of lengthy? But I think that was, a bit of an oversight. Can any of the members add color to that?
Tim, from a supplier standpoint, we've seen a huge increase for requests for the digital support to expand that digital footprint. And I completely agree. Our partnerships have really strengthened with distributors that will take advantage of that digital content and really put it out there, because it's so beneficial in a time when you can't get your foot in the door and leave that printed out catalog. In turn, it's really also expanded just the online business and opportunity that we've seen through our distributors too. So it's been a really interesting shift in the marketing world this past year.
I would add just real quick, some of the, those videos are they don't have a lifespan. So you could use like that safety Honeywell video that we showed earlier, like that's 2 years old, and we use it all the time still today. So it's been, when we've asked for funds, to be able to tell the manufacturer, hey, this isn't an infinite, this isn't a finite thing. This isn't 100 hats. This is something that we can use over and over and over again for years and years. Maybe where they're a little reticent to give those funds, that digital aspect helps them say yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. We've had better success getting funds from manufacturers for things like the digital marketing campaigns than we have for, traditional handout type items.
And then that leads into another question, which is, when the manufacturer, for instance, like 3M, asks for ROI data in exchange for approving the co-op use, how do you show the sales data to prove the cost benefit?
That's always a challenge. I think measurement is always a challenge for most distributors. But I think for independents, it gets down to a bandwidth issue and ability to track. And I know, Eric and Tiffany, you both, had some success in being able to track some of those things. But, how do you do it?
I think part of it depends on the complexity of the promotion that you're doing. If we're looking, for us, it was easy. I mean, because the jet promotion we did, for example, it was just off of a quote. So we were able to look at our quote ratio from the period prior, but also our sales, and that's how we were able to capture it there. If you get really complex into some of these, it's just going to be harder to really get your ROI in a true paper form. I will say I haven't had many manufacturers ask for that. They kind of want to know how it goes, but I haven't had any that want true hard figures to prove that. I mean, they're just more curious, how did this work out for you? And if they're really active and involved with you as a company, they know that you're running the promotion that quarter, and they're out there helping you that same quarter push this promotion alongside you. So I haven't honestly had to provide any ROI for any manufacturers that we've done co-op with.
3M likes to ask for that. At least they want an expectation in terms of what it is, and often they will follow up and ask, did it meet that expectation? But they use that as part of their cost justification process.
Okay. I have two questions. One is, what has been the response of your sales teams to the ramped up marketing efforts? And do you get input from your sales team on how to use co-op funds?
I'll start this one just because Tim and I were talking last week or week prior about co-op for 2021. And I said, hey, let's wait to talk to this because we have an internal meeting with all of our sales team and I want to get their input first. So we normally try to bring them in and just get some feedback from them on what's worked, what would they like to see moving into 2021. We all have ideas on where we'd like to focus, but I really think it's great to get their input moving into it. Our guys, though, when we do this, I mean, our entire team gets excited. I mean, a lot of the times will incentivize these when we do them, but even if we don't, just having something that's tangible for them to put in front of the customer or send directly to the customer to single them out on certain things has been very beneficial. And our team always jumps on board. I know you're always going to have certain promotions that one salesman jumps and runs with better than another one, but it just might fit their market a little better. But we've always had very good success with our team jumping on with us with whatever we do with Rivet MRO.
Yeah, I think engaging with the sales team is a best practice. Oftentimes we'll work with our distributor clients and we'll do a WebEx or a Zoom call with the sales team. In the old days, we actually might visit them. Remember that? Getting input from the sales, they feel validated when you ask for their input, and if you can accommodate that, you also get some great ideas sometimes. And I think one of the biggest challenges with marketing is to collaborate effectively with sales, and so this process allows you to do that. And I would encourage everybody that uses co-op to, as part of the planning process, to not only engage with the supplier but engage with your sales team.
We have a related question. Do you involve manufacturers in the co-op planning process?
Absolutely, it's critical. Kristen, I'll let you, shed some more light on that.
Yeah, definitely our experience as far as you look at programs and success rates, as far as us in turn realizing an increase in sales through that distributor, have always been programs where we're involved up front.
Yeah, I mean, again, especially, and we were talking about this with discretionary programs, getting, input and engaging with your suppliers is only going to increase your chances of getting funding approval, but also of getting, support from their field sales team, which also plays a role in this process.
All right, do we have any further questions from our attendees? We've answered all the ones that have come across.
Okay. If there are more that come in, we can answer that, but just to wrap things up, we have a document that I'd be happy to send to anybody who wants that. You can email me at tim@Rivet MRO, and it's 10.5 tips to help you maximize your co-op marketing. So we can go through this on a top level. But the first thing is to keep track of your manufacturer contacts. One of the things that we see, especially when we have a new client relationship, is oftentimes there isn't a central repository for the name and email and phone number of the sales contact for your manufacturers. So keep track of those and keep them all in one place. And again, it's like we had somebody plant this question, make sure your sales team has a voice in the process. Engaging with your sales team is going to give you a higher likelihood of success and a higher likelihood of the sales team actually using what you develop because they felt like they had a role. So when you have your field marketing summits, when you have your quarterly reviews, ask your suppliers for the co-op program details and save them in a file and be able to have access to them. And again, we talked about this, involve your manufacturer in the planning process and do it early in the year. And just because they don't have a formal program, that doesn't mean they don't have money available to you. So just because you don't have a copy of the rules doesn't mean that we can't successfully find those dollars for you. And again, be prepared to demonstrate how you drive and track program results. If you can do that, you're going to have higher likelihood of success. Demonstrate how you're going to support strategic initiatives from the supplier standpoint that are in alignment with yours. And develop an overarching marketing positioning strategy and support that with your co-op funds. What does your brand stand for? How do you differentiate yourselves from the Grangers of the world? You have great stories to tell. And actually, kind of a side story, we are called Rivet MRO for a couple of reasons. So as marketers, I believe our job is to be storytellers. And hopefully we tell riveting stories. And a rivet is a nice industrial thing that people like you can hang your hat on. So that's where rivet comes from. MRO for us is not maintenance, repair, and operations. Hopefully that resonates with you as that, but we stand it on its head, and it stands for Marketing Resource Organization. And so our brand was developed with independent industrial distributors in mind. And, I think we have a unique story to tell, and each of you do too. And you can run circles around the nationals, and you have incredible value propositions. So it's a matter of understanding what that story is and bringing it to life. We can certainly help you with that. But thinking about it that way, and then using those co-op funds to tell that story. And then in addition to co-op funds, some suppliers have something called market development funds. And yes, some use those terms interchangeably, some it's a separate budget. And so there's the opportunity to extend your reach even further. And don't let your lack of internal resources drive your strategy. We're able to help you extend your resources through our organization. And you can do a lot of things that you couldn't do on your own. So I have a white paper on this that I'd be happy to send you if you're interested, that fleshes this out a little bit more. It might be something you can use as a part of your planning process. And then lastly, commit to the plan. And we always encourage a test, measure, refine model. Do something, figure out how it worked, why it worked that way, and how can you do it better, and then do that more.
Tim, we did have one more question come in.
Yeah.
If we know how much co-op we have and we utilize it all each year, how can your company help us by offloading some of the work to you?
Yeah, so I think the question answered itself to some extent in that offloading. And so the question is an independent distributor with limited resources, what else could those people be doing that are chasing after co-op funds to help you grow your business? And so there's an opportunity cost there that you have when we could be doing that work for you. But the other thing that begs the question is, how effective are you at using those funds to grow your business? If you're primarily focusing on getting logoed apparel or pens or things like that, those are all great, and we do that. I'm not going to throw stones at that, but there are more strategic uses of co-op funds that we've outlined today, and so it begs the capabilities question of that particular or any particular distributor. So we free up your staff time, and we can help you be more targeted, more effective with a marketing solution.
Great. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today. There will be a recording of this presentation that we'll put onto ADHQ, and I can send you a link for that once it's posted. And here's Tim. I know one of the questions was, what's Tim's email? So Hopefully you jotted it down. It's right here.
Right here, tim@rivetsmro.com.
Perfect. All right, everyone. Well, thank you again. And thank you, Tim, and all your panelists. You did a fabulous job. Thank you, Brian Carroll, Ashley Snyder. Have a great day, everyone.
Yes, thank you all for your time, and especially to the panelists for taking such time out of your days to do this with us. We really appreciate it. Your relationships are so important to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend. Happy Super Bowl.